Semifinals of the SFL Season 23 get started this evening from Fatherhood Festival Field in Canton, Ohio, as the Canton Classics play host to the Florida Storm. Good evening, everybody. I am Mike Daggs, and with me in the booth is Gerald Smith. Our stats crew tonight for the semifinals, Ron Haynes and Justin Reside, along with our commissioner and producer, Cameron Irvine. You are watching the Simulation Football League semifinals on YouTube. Gerald, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great. It's semifinal football in a chilly night in the Pro Football Hall of Fame city, Canton, Ohio.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. And listen, a couple of great teams facing off. We talked about it in the Wilson kickoff show. These two teams in the Season 22 championship. Obviously, Florida getting the win in that game. But here they are again, ready to get back to it. Try to see who can advance on to the championship in Season 23. Will Canton get another shot at the championship, or will Florida get the shot to win their third in a row for the second time in franchise history? We'll find out as the game gets started. Ball is teed up. Canton will start things off for us on offense. Ethan Sneed kicks this one into the chilly night air. It'll drop down at about the 7-yard line and returned by Bob Lung up to the 25-yard line, and that is where Scar Patterson takes to the field here in the semifinals. Had a good regular season last week. Went 6 of 17, only 98 yards. Gerald had a passing touchdown, and you mentioned it in the kickoff show, 3 interceptions.
Yeah, and that's something. And that's something Canton can't have a repeat of, especially from their quarterback.
Now the quarterback will throw to start this game, goes over the middle and finds Long wide open over the center, picking up about 13 yards and getting the first down. Obviously, we're going to see a lot of Logan Lee, the halfback, had 29 carries, 218 yards, averaging 7.5 a carry. Gerald, we've seen some averages sometimes when it's like, oh yeah, he's averaging 7.5, and it's kind of like, that's funny, haha. It's because he had a 100-yard run or something, right? No, these are 29 carries, averaging 7.5 yards per carry. His long on the day was only 28. I mean, still a good run, but to average 7.5 on 29 carries is crazy numbers.
It's dominant on the ground.
Patterson nearly picked off that one. It looked like Daniel Wright jumped right in front of it, and obviously Ryan Davidson in on the coverage, but dangerous pass. Yeah,
look, and that's something you don't want Scar Patterson to get in the mode of doing, right? Throwing too early right here, because we know what they have the all-time leader in interceptions on their team in the secondary in Evan Carroll. So you need to watch what you're doing.
Offset eye on second down.
I don't know why they just haven't started out running yet with the dominant run they had last week from Logan Lee with over 20 yards.
Looks like they might be setting up for it here. And it looks wrong. Patterson throws again. That time it is picked off. Ryan Davidson, the 14-season vet. He's a 7-time All-Star for a reason. He was in on the coverage that first time around, and that time got the pick.
And guess what? That is Ryan Davidson's third pick this postseason. Had 2 last week and comes up with 1 right here. This is not the type of game that Canton wants to play. Not one of those. And those plays that they're in, about 4 or 5 plays right there, they threw every single time. That's not the game they want to play. This is a very, very good opportunity for Florida right here to get an early lead on Canton, and they force a turnover to get themselves in, a situation where they're at midfield right now.
Davidson with 5 picks in the regular season. That's top 10. Ron Haynes comes out swinging, throwing passes to Ron Haynes. Did I say Ron Haynes was coming out swinging?
Ron Haynes. I was like, Haynes is coming out swinging. He jumped up,
swinging right down to the ground. Ron Cochran. There's too many Rons. There's only 2, but it's at least 1 too many. Ron Cochran is the quarterback. You got Bullet Boletsky as the halfback. Chris Komisak is your fullback. Stephen Bush, Caleb Giffis, Art Vandelay, and Bobby Tarantino are the wide receivers. Ron Haynes at tight end. Randy Fatt III at tackle. Joseph Wade and Greg McDonaldson, the guards. Cochran will throw for the second time. That one's picked and tipped and nearly picked off. Kanye Rockefeller had his hands on the tip drill, couldn't haul it in, third down.
Yeah, and here comes the situation right here. Canton likes to be in third and long as well as a defensive unit. So now, you got to watch right here, see if they're going to send, somebody coming right off the edge right here to kind of blitz in.
3rd and 10. Brackett looking like he was going to blitz. He doesn't. Going down to the bottom, getting the connection to Giffis, getting the first down. moving the chains and keeping the drive alive for the Storm.
Yeah, and what a route run right there by Giffish, right? Knowing what the space was, right? Cochran got himself, like knew where it was going, and Giffish stopped right there to be able to catch the ball. If he'd kept going, he would have just had that play go right into the defenders right there. So very, very good play recognition. Picked up 11.
Split backs in the backfield. This one gets handed off. First run of the ball game. Only picks up 1. Kilgannon in on the stop. Second down and 9. This Canton Classic defense, number 1 in just about every category you can possibly think of, even some we might not track. Mike All, Jabril Curse, L.L. Volt, and Neil Rivers on the defensive line. Mark Gronick, Kevin Brackett, and DJ Kilgannon are the tight ends. And loss of 1 on that one for Bullet Boletsky. Third down and 10. The secondary is made up of Zachary Hamburger, Terrence Pearson, and Joshua Doer, along with safeties Kanye Rockefeller and King Jamal.
Not just say that, you actually had like King Jamal and Kanye Rockefeller at the line of scrimmage on that tackle.
Deep drop by Cochran, pumps, breaks a sack, and then ripped down to the ground. Mike Hall with a 15-yard sack.
That's an insane thing, right? Typically, you don't see those mistakes from Ron Cochran, right?
No.
It's going to, him being in the Hall of Fame, he knows how to get rid of the ball, but he pump fakes, gets himself, breaks one tackle to prevent a sack, but Mike All's right there to clean it up, and now they go from 140 to the other.
Mistakes
backwards.
Mistakes by both offenses on each of their first possessions. A interception thrown by Scar Patterson, and then Ron Cochran taking a big, costly sack. 4th and 25, and Marcus Agrippa, the longtime punter of the Florida Storm, kicks that one back to the 20-yard line, returned up to the 24. And Scar Patterson will get his second shot at things now, went 1 of 3 with a pick in the opening possession. The starting offense for the Classics, along with Scar Patterson, is Robert Johnson and Logan Lee at halfback. Bill Cherry is the fullback. Ryan Owens, Andrew Gibson, Al Dillapre Sr., and Bob Long are the wide receivers. Talon Steele at tight end. First down and 10. Short drop for Patterson. Still no rushes. That completion good for a gain of 7 to Long. The offensive line, Max Van Linge, Adam Chance, Girth Lord, and Kiera Kilgannon.
I tell you what, like, they still say we're going to throw it on the first down there. They throw it. It's a completion, but they still throw it. Like, where are the runs to these backs? They're putting one in motion here.
2 receivers set. Patterson.
He's just gonna.
I don't know. He's gonna run with it. It didn't work. I mean, I guess technically the first run of the ball game for Canton, but
that had to be a broken play, because what they did, they ended up kind of splitting Logan Lee out, and I guess either Scar Patterson didn't know the assignment or whatever, because it looked like it was some sort of an end around by Logan Lee, and it just failed.
Yeah. And this time Patterson's going to try to run for it himself, but only gains 2.
Why would you slide before? Like, if you're going to do that, you got to be expecting to get hit.
Yeah.
Well,
another offensive possession for the Classics ends with no points. This time they'll get to punt it away. Charles Brown on to punt for the Classics. And Ron Cochran will get the ball back. He also went 1 of 3 in his opening possession, did not throw a pick, but of course they had to punt it away. Gerald, we've only seen 4 rushing attempts so far between these two teams. So far, Scar Patterson is the leading rusher with 2 yards.
And that's just confusing to me, because you have Canton has run the ball, but just with the quarterback. I don't know. Maybe they didn't like my comments and said, "Hey, we're going to let this guy do it all, and we're going to show you we can still win." I don't think that's a good idea.
High formation now for Florida. Ball goes down to the ground and into the hands of Art Vandelay, who will pick up 4 yards on his first carry of the ball game. Second down and 6 for the Storm.
And the way that the game plan is going for Canton on offense, it plays right into the Florida defense so far. But Florida's got to, they have to do something with their offense right here as well.
Chris Komisak gets a handoff now from the fullback position, breaks one tackle, lowers his shoulder, tries to break a second, can't do it, picks up only a yard, but was able to stiff arm the defender. It looked like King Jamal into the ground. 3rd and 5.
This is very, very manageable for Florida here at 3rd and 5. And I like the alignment right here, right? And it looks like they're going to blitz right off the edge. Oh, my God, so fast.
I couldn't even get the call out before he was sacked. Brought down by Mark Gronick for a loss, and that is how back-to-back offensive possessions will end for Florida, with a sack and a punt.
And it was an excellent setup as well as to what they were doing right there, right? Mark Gronick was late getting right to the line right there, showed blitz really late, and they was able to jump right in there. But I do think they actually blitzed right at the right time and right up the middle, because look, they had, at Florida had a screen pass dialed up.
Agrippa punts this one away. 2 possessions by each team. So far, no points for 2 of the highest scoring teams, not just this season, but in SFL history, quite frankly.
There's been relatively no yards gained as well. Everything Florida gained.
No, there you go.
Look, Florida went backwards. They had negative yards right now.
Total yards.
Combined yards, 18 yards.
Net 18 so far in our first semifinal matchup of the evening. We keep billing it as the best football of the season. 18 net yards. There will be more. There will be points. Somebody's got to win.
He's coming around the edge.
Brought down for a sack. Alessandro Tomaello gets Patterson. A little taste of their own medicine there.
Yeah, and Tomaello can actually thank his DBs on the back end, because they had really good coverage right there, which allowed them a little bit of extra time to get through the line and get down there. Not only was he down there, Tomaello, but he actually had a couple of other teammates, up in there too, kind of disrupting things.
Logan Lee watch continues, as he has not yet gotten a touch and still won't. Patterson over the middle and finds Ryan Owens for about a 16-yard gain, picks up the first down.
Yeah, Ryan Owens coming up big right there, right? He doesn't get out of the, out in the field all that often, a little bit further down the depth chart, but you know what he does? He's one of these players who are actually progressing and getting better. We actually seen him, on the minor league field, just a few short nights ago, but here he is with the, with the top pro team, trying to help his team get to the championship.
A little bit more of a classic run setup look here, but they still won't do it. Patterson to throw. Again, goes over the middle to Bob Long, complete. Big pickup there, and another Canton first down there in Florida territory. Speaking of Florida, the Florida defense, Deontay Stoneville, Alessandro Tomaello, who got a sack earlier on this drive, Pete Mitchell and Dallas Knowles on the defensive line. Ryan Tobin, Jesus Smith, and Juan Mississippi are the linebackers. Ryan Davidson, Evan Carroll, and Adam Jones are the corners. Saw Davidson with a pick earlier on in this one. At safety, Daniel Wright, Andrew Francis, and J.J. Bailey. 1st and 10 from the 40. Patterson once again throws. Bob Long once again catches. Gets it down to about the 29-yard line. 11-yard pickup. First down, Canton.
It's almost as if it's like the Bob Long show, and Logan Lee is deciding to, take another juice box break again or something, because they have not handed the ball to a running back so far through this first quarter. Crazy. I'm sitting there wondering when they're going to do it. I'm used to right next to him, putting my hands up like, why are we not running a guy who ran for over 200 yards last week?
Oh, and almost 1,000 on the regular season. Patterson continues his throwing ways, gets this one down to Logan Lee finally, but on a pass as he picks up a first down for the Classics. Between Logan Lee and Robert Johnson in the regular season, Gerald, there was 847 yards for Johnson, 974 yards for Lee. That's 8th best and 3rd best, respectively. Not to mention 11 rushing touchdowns between the two. Just absolutely crazy. So far this night, nothing. Bob Long, 4 receptions tonight, and getting some good numbers there.
It's a career high for him as well.
First down
in
and
the
10
first quarter
from the 19, and there we go. Finally, a handoff. Robert Johnson takes the carry. He'll pick up 3.
I don't think Florida was ultimately prepared for this type of game plan that kind of Canton put out there. Look, it's still 0-0, and they got a pick from it, but I mean, but the way they're completing the ball and how Bob Lung is finding himself open is something that I don't think Florida was anticipating.
Second down and 7. Patterson rolls out right, throws back across the middle, and it's complete. Al Dillapre Sr. sets up the Classics with a 1st and goal. Certainly not the game plan we were expecting to see, Gerald, but on this drive, it's working.
And you know what? And this is all Al Dillapre Sr. right here, because he seemingly bailed out his quarterback by having to jump up and one-handing it so it wouldn't get picked off, because it almost looked like it was going straight for Daniel Wright, the free safety back there, but Al Dillapre stuck his hand out and kind of pulled it in there to save what very likely would have been an interception. 1st and goal from the 6. Patterson, end zone, touchdown, Classics, and they strike first through the air. Al Dillapre Sr. with the touchdown catch. It's a long game, but as of right now, I stand corrected, because guess what? Scar Patterson has put this team on his back so far in the 1st quarter and decides that he wants to show the league what he's got, which is throw a huge wrench in the system. And as you can see right here, he's 8 for 10 with a pick, but all this, he has had 6 completions in a row. He only completed 7 in a row. Yeah, he only completed 6 passes last week. I mean, you know. He completed more than that. Some of them just went to the other team. That's true. He did. He completed a few more to the other team. 6 of 17 last week, only 98 yards. Al Dillapre Sr. held without a catch in last week's game, and in this one, he's already got a touchdown, 2 receptions, 16 yards. Bob Long, with all the catches that he's had 4 so far. Gerald, Bob Long, 4 receptions, 67 yards. You'd think that I might be talking about tonight's stats. I'm not. I'm talking about the season 23 regular season stats. 4 catches, 67 yards, and a touchdown for Bob Long. He's got 4 catches, 48 yards so far in this one. Certainly a surprise, no matter how you look at it. They're pulling out all the stops right here. Florida still with minus yards overall. Cochran almost goes down again. Boletsky does. No gain on the play. Well, they'll spot him a 1-yard gain. That's just the refs being nice right there. So Florida's current yard total -2. That was Mike Hall was coming right off the edge, and they also sent the sack leader Kevin Brackett on that same side. Kevin Brackett got picked up, but they left Mike Hall just free running on the outside. They can't allow stuff like that during this game. Absolutely not. Check down goes to Art Vandelay. No gain on that one. And a 3rd down and 9 coming up, and we are 35 seconds away from Florida going minus yards in the 1st quarter. See, and this is the thing that I'm noticing right here with Florida. It seemed like they were anticipating the blitz, that for Canton to bring the blitz, because that's the 3rd or 4th screen pass that I've seen, but what they didn't account on is those DBs being able to cover the flat like that. Cochran under pressure again, avoids the sack. Oh my God! Catch to Vandelay. That's the sort of veteran move that Ron Cochran brings to the table. What a play! Only a Hall of Fame quarterback can just roll out away from where he's throwing it and complete it. The vision from him to be able to do that, and for Art Vandelay to kind of just stay within the vision of his quarterback and find himself open. Wow, that was crazy. 1 quarter down. We've got 3 to go here from Canton, Ohio. Crazy one so far. Not what we expected. We'll see how it continues. You're watching the Simulation Football League semifinals on YouTube. Welcome to the start of the 2nd quarter. I'm Mike Daggs. He is Gerald Smith. We've got Ron Haynes. We've got Justin Reside with us on stats. Cameron Irvine, our producer, back at SFL Studios. Art Vandelay lined up in the backfield at the halfback position. Cochran pitches it out to him. Vandelay hit behind the line of scrimmage 2 times and tackled for no gain on the play. Joshua Doerr getting the tackle for a loss. King Jamal from the strong safety position just got right where he needed to be able to force that, just so Joshua Doerr can, come in and clean it up, man. That's just very, very good vision. And the Canton defense is playing extremely dominant right now. Ball is handed off to Charlie Boletsky, and that dominant defense brings Boletsky backwards. 3rd down and 13. Wow, I don't know if I could say I've seen a defense to be like this dominant you know, without getting any turnovers, they're just literally just shutting them down right now.
4 receiver set for the Storm. Cochran looking, fires into double coverage and caught, climbing the ladder and getting the catch for the first down. Bobby Tarantino.
Bobby Tarantino coming through, because look, and look what Ron Cochran has to do. He has to create himself a little bit of space, get himself out of pocket, and he throws it in double coverage right there. Tarantino pulled it like almost right off the defender's back, because he had his back turned to where the ball was coming from, and Tarantino just kind of reached over and pulled it off his back.
Wow.
To get themselves just past midfield.
Cochran under center now on first down inside Canton territory by a yard. Ball is handed off to Boletsky, and he is just rocked in the backfield. Mark Gronick with the TFL.
It's like Canton knows exactly what's coming, right? They got the right guys in the right spot, right? And you know what they do? They just get a hat on a hat, and somehow or another they get a free guy open to be able to make tackles like that.
Second down and 12 for the Storm. Cochran drops back, gets it out to Vandelay. He'll pick up the lost yardage and one more, setting up Florida with a third down and 9.
Look, and through the first quarter and through the first portion of this second quarter right here, the tackling by Canton has been amazing. When the first guy gets to him, they seem, you know, they're actually bringing him to the ground. Very seldom has it took another defender to make the tackle.
Cochran rolls out left, throws into quadruple coverage. That one does not work, Gerald. Too many black jerseys around. That might be dark blue, but my old eyes say black. 4th and 9.
It looks black. It looks black to me in the dark. I don't know if it's that dark, but it's a little shady, shall I say? Does that make sense?
Lynette Coper in the chat says, is the Florida coach based on an actual person? Yes, George Costanza, I believe, is who it looks like to me down there wearing the bright color shirts.
He actually wished he was back in South Florida instead of Ohio.
Yeah.
It's a little chilly up in this region.
Cold night, not going quite his way so far. Canton takes back over on offense. They'll be backed up to their own 15-yard line.
Man, this game, the way it's going so far, plays right into what Canton does best. Good defense, timely, you know, offensive scores by Canton.
Look at here he is, the man of the hour, Logan Lee. They were saving him for the second quarter. Who knew? Gets his first run of the ball game, and of course the best run of the ball game for him or anybody on either side.
Yeah, and it amounts to about a 20-yard run right here. He just kind of gets in there and just, man, like what a run already. The first K, what do we do? Saving him for the last 3 quarters,
keeping him fresh.
All he caught was one pass in the first quarter.
Right back to the sideline he goes. Robert Johnson now the back. Gets bottled up behind the line of scrimmage. Florida defense swarms around him, gets him for a 1-yard tackle for a loss.
Man, they're going to have to, the Florida defense is going to have to kind of regroup. I think right now they're actually, you know, kind of been shell-shocked just a little bit as to what's going on with this offensive scheme that Canton has. And their offense isn't giving them much help either, because their defense is not able to stay off the field long.
Patterson into double coverage himself, but finds Al Dillapre Sr. again for another catch and another first down. It's working for him so far.
It seems like this is one of the better games right here that Scar Patterson, at least the start of it anyway, kind of getting down there and just throwing the pass and finding his guys wide open. And I didn't expect it. I know everybody who looks at their rushing stats and everything else and what they did last week did not expect this type of, you know, passing attack coming from this Canton team.
Patterson has to take care of the ball. That time leads his receiver a little bit too much, and Andrew Francis jars the ball loose on the hit. Second down.
Yeah, one of the longest tenured players in the league in 15 seasons, all of them with this Florida franchise, comes up with a huge hit right there to knock the ball down.
2nd and 10. Ball spotted at the Canton 48. Patterson, 5-step drop, fires down the left side, finds his target again. Ryan Owens off to the races, gets inside the 15-yard line before being forced out of bounds. This passing attack is working. Patterson over 100 yards now and a passing touchdown.
Yeah, and that was something like pre-snap that Scar Patterson saw change the play, and what it did, it ended up forcing the Florida defense to kind of adjust to it, and guess what he did? They was able to get Ryan Owens to get on somewhat of a corner route right there and left himself wide open. And Florida, their defensive backs got mixed up, and you know whose responsibility it was, and you had a guy end up chasing, and here they are. They're inside the red zone now with the 14.
Going down to the ground, but still not Logan Lee. Robert Johnson gets another carry and picks up 2 yards. 2nd down and 8, and Florida at risk now of falling behind 2 scores still early in this ball game.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is, I mean, going down at least, 2 touchdowns is not anything Florida wants to do, because you know what, like in week 9, they scored no points.
Punishing run by Lee as he lowers his shoulder and piles through defenders. Only picks up 2, but certainly laying the hit.
Yeah, and they're playing with a huge mission and just a very, very large chip on their shoulder, seeing how these 2 teams met in a championship game last season. But here's an opportunity for Florida to get the defense off the field right here.
Gibson in motion. He'll be in the slot to the top. Pass goes down to the bottom. Bob Long adding on to his career day, gets the catch, but can't get quite to the line of gain. They spot him with 4 yards on the play, 4th and 2. And Rob Ems out onto the field to kick the field goal for the Classics.
And this is still a win for Canton right here, right? To extend their lead to 2 scores. And we know how they play with the lead right here. So it's going to be a really, really telling drive right here before half for this Florida Storm team, right? Because they don't have, really any meaningful statistics to even speak of right now on offense because of how Canton is shutting them down. So this, with about 4.5 minutes left before half, they're going to have to, go down and do something. They got, that turnover early in the first quarter, and they were in prime position to be able to get down there and at least get some points, but they end up going backwards and was pushed into their own territory by the time that drive was ended.
Then it's not like their special teams unit here has really done them any favors throughout the regular season either, as they haven't really
1.4 yards a carry.
That's crazy. Yeah, per play. That counts passing, but kick return unit really hasn't done a whole lot for them either. So it's going to rely on their offense and their defense. You see the updated team stats, only 29 total yards. It's just no rushing yards to be had yet. Never mind, there's 2. But Beletsky still with -3 on the day after that 2-yard pickup.
Like the way Canton plays on defense, it's as if they have 1 or 2 extra defenders out there on the field. It's like they got 12 and 13 defenders, but you go out there and you count them. It's like they always had that extra person to make that tackle or to cover that pass or to, plug up that hole where a running back is running through.
Cochran back to pass, fires low pass, but it is hauled in. Caught by Stephen Bush for the 1st down.
And they're going to need to get, stuff like that going. They're going to have to, utilize like these stop routes and all these other things, right, to get a unique brand until they get some sort of a rhythm down, because right now Florida is struggling to try and figure out what's going to work against this Canton defense.
Stephen Bush, the leading receiver on the regular season with 43 catches for 610 yards and 4 touchdowns. Got that 1st down reception there, his first of the ball game. Cochran down to Ron Haynes, another man that you need to get involved in this passing attack. And they get the completion to him there for another Florida 1st down. And this drive may be looking a little bit better than the previous few.
Yeah, and as of right now, Florida knows the assignment right now, right? With 4.5 minutes to go to start. And, here they are. They're kind of getting themselves in a situation where they might be able to go down and get points, but they're going to have to be really, really selective. Don't force anything.
1st down and 10, offset. In the backfield, Bush in motion up to the top of your screen. Play action. Cochran checks that one down to Vandelay. back at the line of scrimmage, and he'll be tackled for a loss of 2. King Jamal with the 2-yard TFL.
Yeah, that and I didn't really like that decision to throw there. I get it. The play action worked really well, and they floated 2 guys out to the flat right there just to cover Vandelay. I'm sure he could have found somebody else a little bit open.
More pressure on its way. King Jamal gets a repeat performance as he gets another TFL on the same side of the field, this time getting Ron Haynes tackled for the 1-yard loss. 3rd down and 13.
And I think Canton had an idea as to how Florida was going to go and try and attack him with these screen passes and such, because guess what? We've seen quite a few of it. Even though they're bringing a blitz, they know exactly where to drift their DBs.
Cochran checks it down, and that one is just incomplete. I honestly don't know if that was going to Boletsky or Caleb Giffis. Boletsky let it go over his head. Giffis tried to grab it, couldn't haul it in. And 4th down now as we look at Ron Cochran's last 10 passing attempts, Gerald. A lot of them for either less than 10 yards or in some cases no yards. Minus yards, I should say.
Yeah, because a lot of these completions and all right, or some of these screen passes and stuff like that they're trying to catch Canton and blitzing or in some sort of a man coverage downfield and get the blockers out in front, but it's just not working. Canton has the ability, and they're recognizing so far what Florida is trying to do to them defensively, and they're right on top of it.
Good punt return for the Classics. The SFL convention is headed to Baltimore for the 2025 convention. So we hit the 2-minute warning here in the first half of this game. We'll be kicking off the league's 25th anniversary season July 10th to the 14th, 2025. Join the SFL Nation at the rooftop pool of our host hotel, the Hyatt Regency, looking out into the Baltimore Inner Harbor and revel in the league's first convention on the East Coast. Reserve your room today at the special group rate. Visit semfl.net to find it there. Patterson throws a pick, and going back is all the way up to the 30-yard line. Juan, Mississippi getting the interception and setting Florida up in great position now to try to get the lead.
And this is
tie it back up.
This is the second interception by Scar Patterson, right? He's still having a great game, by the way. But these are the situations that Florida is going to have to take advantage of right here, right? They're right around the 30-yard line here. Don't go backwards here. Go forward. You're in prime position for the second time this game off an interception. Starting your drive in opponent's territory. You have to move the ball forward. You need to toss the screen pass out of the playbook at this point.
Looking to score for the first time tonight is actually what I should have been saying. Harf Vandelay breaking tackles, getting the first down. It felt like Florida had at least scored. They still have an O on the board, and heading into the half with nothing definitely would have not been ideal for them. Still got to take care of the ball, but trying to get into the end zone here is what they are trying to do.
And if Florida puts up some points right here, right before half, they would have put up some points, whether it's 3 or a touchdown right here, right, and this game unfolds in a different type of manner, Canton might kick themselves.
Cochran towards the end zone. That one's incomplete. Stephen Bush had it, but it was just ripped away by Kanye Rockefeller. Second down.
Seeing the offensive struggle you have, Bush has to have better hands than that and pull that in, because the defenders were behind him. And I know, hey, look, playing a football game, getting hit and catching at the same time is very, very difficult to do. But in those moments in these games, you have to hold on to that ball.
3 receiver set on second down. Cochran fires, and he gets it picked off. Gronick with the interception. Canton gets it back. Florida going into the half with no points. Minute 16 away from doing so anyway. Not a good look for the Storm.
Man, he just played a zone and just slid over. All he did was just watch the quarterback eyes and slid to right where, like the quarterback was looking, jumped right in front of that ball. And now they're right back where they were, just looking like they can't kind of get out of their own way.
Ron Cochran only threw 8 interceptions through 12 games in the regular season. Has one in the first half here tonight, had one last week as well in the playoffs. Patterson, Bob Long, not even remotely covered. First down, Canton.
He's just not. It's like, yeah, this guy's caught 4 balls all season long. There's no way they'll throw to him. And guess what? They've been throwing to him a ton this game right here. That's his 6th reception.
12 of 16 and plenty of yards for Patterson. Wow, breaking tackles. Robert Johnson dragging defenders with him. Second down and 1 now for the Classics.
Yeah, and look, and Canton did the right thing right there, taking the timeout as they approach midfield, because they're in prime position to, put more points on the board right here, right? Have 2 timeouts and have about 47 seconds left.
Patterson to throw again, and once again finding a wide open target. Hey, why not get somebody else involved? Talon Steele with his first catch of the ball game, pick up a 14.
Yeah, and look, it's just blowing my mind right now, the way that these guys are making some adjustments, right, to their game plans to be able to try and make the most of it, right? Canton's like, hey, look, we just beat this team, we just shut this same team out 20-0, a few weeks ago.
Patterson,
and can do it again.
Play action, rolls out right under pressure, and a flag on the play. Defensive pass interference, I believe.
Where?
Looked like he was, to me, I don't know if we'll see it again, but it looked to me like the receiver had gotten past the defender, and he just tried to pull him down from behind. Yeah, he's just kind of trying to run through him. He got to turn and play the ball. He didn't do it.
He was looking back at the ball.
He wasn't playing the ball. He was just looking at it.
Well, he has much right to the ball as the wide receiver. I didn't see nothing really, really egregious.
Yeah, it looks like he might have grabbed the jersey and gave it a little tug. Automatic first down, spot foul for the Classics.
Phantom tug.
Up to the 21-yard line. Patterson to throw. Again, firing down towards the 3-yard line, and that one is caught by Owens. First down and goal for Canton, and they burned their final timeout.
And Canton's looking to go up 17-0 right before half, as they got the ball at the 2-yard line right here. And that, look, I would imagine here. Never mind. I was about to say, hey, you give it to Rojo or Logan Lee right here, but they're not doing it.
Not with this game plan. They've been throwing all night, and it's working for them. They got to be careful though.
What's Evan Carroll?
Yeah, that's not who you're supposed to throw it to. Evan Carroll, the interception leader on the regular season with 8 picks, gets one right there in the end zone, and man, that's a potentially a season-saving pick for the Storm, as they were about to potentially go down 17-0, and instead they at least get the ball back.
And of all the people you throw to, you don't throw it toward Evan Carroll. He leads all time in interceptions in league history that's his 108th interception of his career. You don't throw it in that direction in that moment.
Updated look at the team yards as Ron Cochran gets back to the air. Ron Haynes picks up a first down. They will let the clock continue to roll, but the yards wise, this game should actually be like 21-0 instead of 10-0. 247 yards for Canton to only 60 for the Storm, and obviously picked up about another 10 there, so about 70 yards now. One final play before we hit the half.
I know some teams that couldn't even get that many yards in a whole game. Canton got in one half.
That's for sure. Boletsky picks up 6, but that brings us to the half. Gerald, Canton 10, Florida nothing, and the yards. Hey, we're going to look at the first half stats here in just a moment's time. These stats are not at all what we expected to see. We've got Logan Lee with only a couple of rushing attempts at all for the whole game. He is the leading rusher in the game with 20 yards. But it's been the Scar Patterson show. Florida's stats pretty much non-existent. Your thoughts so far in the first half?
Yeah, look, it's been all Canton right here. All the Canton defense, right? Because Scar Patterson has thrown 3 picks and everything else, similar to what he did last week. But they were able to be dominant last week, and guess what's happening again this week? He still has 3 picks, but guess what? The defense is keeping him in a state to where those mistakes can happen, and that they don't have to do a whole lot with it. So look, it's been a dominant defensive performance by Canton. And Florida's got to make adjustments, or else they're going to get sent home.
Mark Gronick, the first half player of the game. We will get the third quarter started right after this. Let's take a quick halftime break presented by Brakes GPT.
We just pulled a full-size Taylor Swift helmet. Shout out to all our Swifties. Travis Kelce. This is a Giants Lawrence Taylor.
Patrick Mahomes.
Chad Johnson with the Ocho Cinco.
We have a Drew Brees.
Is that an O.J. Simpson jersey?
An Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my
One of the most iconic advertisements in Simulation Football League history. Break into the world of sports memorabilia collecting with Breaks GPT, featuring signed football jerseys, helmets, photos, and more. Breaks GPT offers you the shot at winning autographed and authenticated sports memorabilia at a fraction of the price. Join the community of collectors on our Breaks GPT Facebook page and lock in your shot at hitting a humongous headliner on our site, breaksgpt.com. So we get another look at the second half kick return by Caleb Giffis and Ron Cochran out onto the field now to try to get the second half going. Gerald, 11-17, 78 yards in the first half. No touchdowns. He did throw a pick. They can't get the run game going either. Art Vandelay is the leading rusher. 3 rushing attempts for 15 yards. What do they got to do?
They have to somehow expect Canton to allow them to get more yards, because right now it's just not a thing. Right, because what they're doing, that Canton's forcing them in a situation they don't be in. They need to abandon, in my opinion, the screen pass as well, because it's not working very well.
Trying to get Vandelay going again on the ground, and this you talked about it in the Wilson kickoff show. As there's Mr. Costanza. I mean, the resemblance is it's just uncanny. Anywho, you talked about it in the Wilson kickoff show. This Canton defense, #1 in darn near every statistical category you can imagine, and boy, are they showing that again tonight.
Dude, they're, in my opinion, they've been the best team in the SFL for the last 2 seasons.
Cochran, play action, pressure on its way, gets the pass off to Haynes, but that pickup there of 6 is the best that they could hope for. Ron Cochran is one of the most poised, composed quarterbacks that there is. He'll stand in the pocket. He'll take that hit. 15 seasons in the league, all of which have been with Florida. 6-time All-Star. He's been an offensive player of the season. He does not get rattled. But that pressure is constantly getting there, and he's having to dump it down real fast. This time getting it out to Chris Comisak, picks up the first down. But that's what I've noticed so far is Cochran, he doesn't have time to read the field because he's got to get rid of it. So it's just like, well, whoever's the most open is who this one's going to.
See, in this last play right here on that screen pass is what Florida was hoping to get a lot more of, right? That's why I said, hey, look, I think we need to, they might want to just kind of abandon it, or use it a lot less than what they had, because guess what? It didn't work in the first half, but that's what they were looking for, what they're doing, to get everybody to blitz in and get the man coverage and everything else, and it worked for them there.
Vandelay with the run. Up the middle, gain of 4. Second down and 6 as they get back into Canton territory. They've been here a couple of times tonight, Gerald, and it's just resulted in no points.
They've actually been near the red zone, and they still haven't come up with no points. So this is where they typically kind of go backwards, or they kind of just drive collapses on itself.
That run coming from Chris Comisak, and just looks like a pinball when you're talking about this Canton defense. It's like they're just like a pinball machine, just batting them around, almost like, I don't know, like a cat just batting a toy. They're just playing with them, man.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, they play like they have more players on the field, but they really don't.
Cochran having to dump it down again. See, that's a shining example of what I'm talking about. The pressure was there. He knew he had the check down, so he took the check down, which great, good read, good composed, poised read, but the defense destroyed Boletsky in the backfield. Now they're playing
because the defense is expecting it and waiting on him. It's like they knew, that like how opponents going to prepare for them in terms of how are they going to beat our blitz, right? What are they going to do? Hey, they're going to try and throw out these screen passes and everything else and have free open flat spaces. But guess what? The Canton defense is being disciplined and covering those flat areas and being able to shut it down and have all these tackles for losses. I mean, you would be, I'm sure they got a ton of them right now, TFLs on the Canton side.
So Canton takes back over on offense. Logan Lee.
Look at the running room.
Well, yeah, and look at the speed. It's only his 3rd carry of the night. He's still as fresh as a pizza right out of the oven. But
it's got to take a very specific game plan to stop these rushing attacks like they have. And he's only ran the ball 3 times. He's averaging over 10 yards a carry.
7 minutes to go here in quarter number 3. Patterson back to the air. This has worked well for them all night. Misfire that time. So he tried to get it out to El Dillapre Sr., who's got 3 catches on the day. 2nd down and 10 for the Classics.
Yeah, and they're going to have to try and figure out what's going on.
2 picks for Patterson so far. Throwing over the middle. That one nearly picked off as well. Threw it right to Andrew Francis.
Yeah, look, and they almost had another pick, which would have been the 4th pick right there, because that's what they got. They got to be able to pick it off to be able to get themselves in a situation to get them better field position. But whenever they get those things, they're going to have to convert those things into some sort of a point whenever they pick them off.
They're down and 10. Patterson to throw again. Throws on the run. Dumps it down. Bob Lung smothered. And the Florida defense holds as they get the stop. 4th down and 5. Charles Brown out on the field to punt.
Yeah, maybe the situation now where Florida, it's got to stop without forcing a turnover, and maybe they can, I don't know what else they can do, because they're doing a lot of pressure's coming, right? Got to throw a lot quicker than what they need to. And I do think the swing pass and screens is something that they need to have a discussion about on the sidelines, because it has not been successful, but it's also been a very large part of their offense so far this game. And, they have to have better, play calling and play selection, for them to improve and be able to push the ball down the field. That's something we haven't seen from them either, right? They haven't really gone down the field against Canton.
They have not, no. Honestly, I think if they're going to get back into this one, it's going to have to be on a big defensive play like a pick 6. Because, this offensive performance so far, just not getting it done. Cochran with the miss there, 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Look, it's still within reach, right? It's only a 2-score lead right now. It's 10-0 right here. Even if you have to start trying to, chip away with, with the run game and everything else, you don't have to get it all back, but you have to actually show progression down there that you can actually start chipping away at the, knocking a little bit of, Canton's defense back.
Cochran to throw. Oh, got it out to Haynes. Oh, Ron Haynes thinking he's a Mack truck. Just bowling over people. Listen, Ron's seen quite enough of this Canton defense. He's trying to knock him right out of the game.
Poor Terrence Pearson. He ran into the truck. Go. That's got to be Florida's best play, and it's just a truck move by Ron Haynes himself. Look, it was a perfectly designed play. We're right where Ron Cochran threw it, hit him in stride, and he bulldozed the guy.
Pitch up top to Beletsky, who still has not been able to get going so far this night. I see you shaking your head. He's got positive yardage on the day, but by positive yardage, I mean 5 on 7 attempts.
Yeah, and they got to be really, really unique. They got to get some guys, in and around and kind of flying around, and right here, and you can see they running. Canton's running this, 3-4 defense, and they look like they. Like to send Kevin Brackett around the edge.
This time going to Comisac, who picks up 1st down yardage. He's actually had a more successful evening so far than Beletsky, as he picks up a bunch there. Art Vandelay still the leading rusher for the Storm. 5 carries for 21 yards for Vandelay.
Look at this. We have 7 men in the box right here. Jeez. Oh.
Cochran having to dump it down. Gets it out to Vandelay. Vandelay with room to work. Breaks the tackle, steps out of bounds.
If he could have tiptoed right there, we might have been looking at 7 points right there coming out of backfield. But that's what they're hoping for with the screen pass. Every once in a while, it's only the second time I've seen Canton not be disciplined in terms with the screen pass right here, right? They allowed a blitz come in, got a couple of good blocks. But I know that's what Florida was hoping a lot more of. Just hadn't really paid off.
Going back down to Comisac, and they give him the 1st down.
No.
We might get another look at that.
No, they didn't. That was very, very good gap discipline by the defense right there. I'd challenge this if I was a Canton coach on the sideline, and they're going to let it ride.
Keeping the hanky in the pocket. Ron Haynes at the fullback spot. I'd love to see him get the carry. No, he's just in there to block. Sets up the block for Beletsky. Beletsky able to take that reception up for a gain of 4, 2nd down and 6 for the Storm.
And this is one of the better drives right here for Florida, right? And they've gotten a good bulk of their yards right here, utilizing the swing and screen pass or the safety valve that they've been having. But you know, it seemed like it's finally working. But then look, here comes another swing pass.
Another great one by Komisak as he's able to set up a 3rd and 1, pick up a 5. In field goal range, at least for Ethan Sneed, but they don't want to settle for 3 here, although they are still in it. Honestly, a field goal brings it back to a 1-score game, even though it's felt like they've done nothing.
And it actually feels like this 10-point lead is a lot more than 2 scores.
See, if they can pick it up, they do. So this drive will keep on going. You just saw the 3rd quarter yardage stats. It's been pretty much all Florida here coming out in the 2nd half. So.
Yeah, Florida's actually had the ball a little bit more this quarter than Canton has, and they're doing it right here. This looks like the way they're lining up right here. It's almost like they're not wanting to throw it downfield.
Big drop by Cochran. He gets this one down to Beletsky, and 6 yards is picked up. We've seen that sort of play multiple times on this drive. We saw in the first half too, it wasn't working quite as well. This drive, it's finally clicking.
Yeah, and I think they're starting to, Florida's also starting to get their run game going a little bit better, right? And we know how aggressive that Canton likes to be.
Nice run and a little hurdle there by Komisak. He'll get set up with the 3rd and inches. That time I thought they got the first, and it was spotted short.
I was about to say that. Costanza's like, can you give me another look from upstairs and see what we got going on? So if we pick that up, might throw the flag.
Well, he's keeping the hanky in the pocket too. So Beletsky lined up in the eye.
If they don't get it, he might question that decision.
Damian Shelton lined up at the fullback position. Blocks for Beletsky. They pick it up. 1st down and 10 from the 11-yard line. 2 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter. That's just ticking right away as this drive continues.
Now, how long they had the ball and the plays that they actually have on this drive is 12-play drive thus far. This is their 13th play.
Rolling up on 4 minutes, almost 5 minutes.
Kevin Brackett just ran through.
Yeah, we knew Brackett wouldn't stay quiet all night. That's his first sack on the evening. Wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't his last. Gets the sack. He also had a pass deflection earlier on in the ball game. 2nd down and 14.
And this is going to be a situation where now with this yardage right here, they're gonna force it. I don't think they're going to run here. I think it's going to be a pass play right here, but they need to be very, very careful.
Play action, breaking the sack. Oh, then gets steamrolled. Neil Rivers gets the sack.
Kanye Rockefeller comes in right from his free safety position, lined up in the box, comes untouched. Cochran's able to do it, but Neil Rivers, keeping at it, comes through and gets his first full sack of this postseason. He's got a sack and a half during the postseason thus far.
Listen, Ron Cochran is not an old man, but he's not a young man either. That looked like it hurt. Cochran dumps this one down, and it'll bring up a 4th down. Vandelay getting back to the 15-yard line, but a 4th and very long. And Ethan Sneed on for the field goal try. Looking to at least get the O off the board. Had 2 kicks last week. Long of 47. This one only from 32 from the right hash. Kick is on its way. Curling back inside. It's good. And Gerald, after all that, we got a 1-score ball game.
More than a half a quarter of of time taken, right? Now, I knew that they would have to have, just eat up the time of possession. But when you do that, I feel like it's a lot more motivation building and everything else and confidence building if you put up 7 points as opposed to 3. And what they did, they spent all that time and they got so close, then they ended up going backwards, right? But look, they got 3 points. We know they're not getting shut out as they did in week 9.
Right.
But what they're going to have to do is get a touchdown, which is something they have not done this season versus this Canton team.
Canton now takes back over on offense at their own 25-yard line. Canton Classics here at Fatherhood Festival Field in Canton, Ohio, the Pro Football Hall of Fame destination of the country, of the world, really.
Maybe I'll be there one day, but likely not.
I mean, as a visitor, anytime you'd like. Patterson keeps his running game going as he runs up the middle. Juan Mississippi with the tackle after a pickup of 4. Do you love NFL history? The Canton Classics head coach is the legendary Ray Donaldson. He was the first African-American to play center in the league, achieving 6 Pro Bowl selections, making the All-Pro team and winning Super Bowl 30. Game-worn items from his time with the Indianapolis Colts, Seattle Seahawks, and Dallas Cowboys are now available at millions.com/Ray Donaldson. You can own a piece of NFL history today. 3rd down and 6 coming up. Only 3 seconds left here in quarter number 3.
Yeah, this is actually a big 3rd down for the Florida defense right here, right? You have to get a stop here. You don't want Canton to go down and try and put up more points. Who knows? They might be picking all the ball off. They get a pick 6 and might be looking at a tie. Oh, my God, he missed the sack.
Yeah, play action. He totally missed picking up the 1st down. Al Dillapre Sr. gets the catch, and just a whiff by the defender for the Florida Storm.
Oh, he went right in there. He could have just beat down Scar Patterson, but it was that good of a play fake right there that he ran right down into it, and they allowed them to pick up the 1st down.
3 quarters down, 10 minutes to go to decide who goes to the Season 23 championship. You're watching the SFL on YouTube.
The of the Simulation Football League is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or account of the game without the express written consent of the league office is prohibited.
I'm Mike Daggs. He's Gerald Smith. Justin Reside, Ron Haynes with us in the stats truck tonight. Cameron Irvine is the producer at SFL Studios. Put your 4s in the chat. Only 10 minutes left in this one. So much happening. I just kind of had a little bit of a aneurysm or something, I think. I'm not really sure what that was, Gerald.
There was a whole lot of, only got a 4.
Put 4s up and something, whatever. There's football. Boom, there's a guy that got 7. Oh, no, Madden's here. Patterson picking up the 1st down. We'll get back into it. It's just, it took a, I don't know. I heard Chris Curtis's voice. I got scared. I'm not sure what happened. 1st down and 10 Canton.
Had to have a little bit of a reset. But look, and they're picking up where they left off right there. Seeming like, hey, after that big 3rd down conversion they had, they're just back to what they used to be. And Florida's got to rebound and stop them.
Patterson still firing, and Ryan Davidson almost picked that one off. See, and that's the sort of thing that I mentioned earlier on. I think if Florida's going to get back into this one, it's going to take a big play by the defense. I'm talking pick 6 type big play. Ryan Davidson had a shot at it there, falls harmlessly to the turf. Patterson dodges a bullet. He's already thrown 3 picks in this one.
I mean, because they're not putting a whole lot of pressure on Scar Patterson either. So,
going to go down to the ground. The very little used Logan Lee gets his 5th carry of the ball game, picks up only 1, 3rd down and 9.
It is something odd though, right? You rushed for over 200 yards last week on the ground, and then you only get 5 carries this game, and you're averaging just like last week, over 7.5 yards a carry.
Yeah, when he gets his opportunities, he's getting it done. He just hasn't had very many opportunities. Patterson rolling out right, pressure on its way, and sacked, brought down by Dallas Knowles. Getting a 1-yard sack, and Canton will have to punt.
And that's exactly what Florida needed right there to be able to shut down a drive, not allow this thing to get into another 2-score game, because let's be frank, right here with how the game is progressing, a 2-score game would essentially, in my opinion, just ice the game for Canton, and the Florida defense has given their offense enough opportunities to try and put points on the board.
Brown to punt. Ball's going to drop down at about 16-yard line. Returned up to the 19-yard line as we look at the updated team stats. Florida clawing their way back in. Obviously, Canton still way out in front. It's been a very pass-heavy game by both teams.
It's kind of hard to believe. Look how close they are on 1st downs. Only 3 first downs separates Canton and what they're doing with the ball. In Florida, what they're doing with it, even getting 2.8 yards per play.
Haynes throws a quick pass, and that one is incomplete, trying to get it out over the middle, and just a little bit too hard of a throw.
Ron Cochran had an opportunity right here to get his wide receiver wide open. I think he felt the pressure, but his running back helped him out and actually picked up the blitz. He had a little bit extra time, one more split second to throw a very good throw, but he ended up missing him.
2nd down and 10 for the Storm. Cochran dumping that one down to Vandelay.
Oh,
Getting the first down and more. Finally gets knocked out of bounds after a nice gain. Stops the clock with 8:01. The 23rd season wraps up with the SFL Championship game on Sunday, November 17th, 1 week from tonight at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Join Charles Doherty, Cameron Irvine, and the rest of the championship broadcast team for all the festivities as we celebrate another successful season and crown another champion right here on SFL YouTube. You see Ron Cochran's last 10 pass attempts, and Gerald, I think the Wilson Show crew might force their way into that championship broadcast.
I was about to say, am I a championship broadcast team? I'll be a part of that.
We'll just make sure we hack the stream and get things kicked off at least.
Make sure we hit it with the static. Sorry to interrupt your regularly scheduled program.
We have broken into the broadcast. I think we might actually be invited. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a lot better than hacking it.
Yeah. Less work. 2nd down and 10. Boletsky still trying to get something going on the ground, and he's just had a really rough go at it, averaging less than 2 yards per carry.
Now, one thing I'm interested in seeing how Florida says have very limited success on offense and getting down, into scoring range here. I'm wondering if they just switch to like their tempo or 2-minute offense. I wonder how that's going to fare for them.
Cochran throws over the middle. That one complete to Vandelay, but 4th down now, and is it 4-down territory?
Look at these 3rd down efficiency stats right here.
That's crazy.
1 for 5. You mean to tell me Canton only had 5 third downs?
Right. And only converted on 1.
But I wouldn't say it was 4-down territory. I respect right here, like the way that they kick the ball down the field.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do. Your defense seemingly has stiffened up to give your offense a better chance right here. And then, the punt right there by Marcus Agrippa, kicking it a mile and pinning them back on their own 14-yard line. I think it gives, their defense an opportunity to potentially get themselves in a 3-and-out situation, and will very likely allow, if they are able to minimize the yards by Canton here, get themselves the ball back in very, very good field position.
Typically what happens in a Dag Smith broadcast is sometimes we end up kind of getting a little off topic and start talking about random things. If you see in the chat tonight, they're just yammering on about tacos, which is one of my favorite things to talk about and to consume, but I don't know what's happening in the chat tonight. They're all going nuts. Patterson throwing, completing passes. Al Dillipre Sr. gets another big one, but yeah, we got John Fowler in the chat says that he's like accusing me of stealing his tacos or holding his tacos against his will.
Well, maybe that's why he got injured on the very last play of the game on defense, because you didn't let him have his tacos.
Well, I know. He was only out for a second. Basically that injury, he just like stubbed his toe, and it was like, come on, man, get back out there. No, I'm hungry. Like, what's that got to do with anything? He wanted tacos, I guess. I don't know. Fortunately, he didn't need to go back out there tonight, or that night, I should say. Damon Simeon putting an order in for tacos. This is madness. Anyway, 1st and 10 from the 30. Patterson looking to throw, and listen, you can't pick it off if you're not even within 10 yards of the receiver.
And guess what? It's been all too often in like this game in terms of Bob Lung, right? He's just leaking right over the middle of the field, and Bob Lung is like nobody's respecting the guy because he's had more catches this game than what he's had all season.
Terrell Cooper in the chat, he thought that the playoffs were tomorrow. Clearly, he doesn't watch the Wilson Show. We've gone over the schedule probably 5 times.
Yeah, Coop got to be better.
Got to do better, Coop. High formation now from the 43-yard line. Pocket collapsing, but how does he do it? Gets the pass off, gets the pass completed to Ryan Owens. In tight coverage, like,
It just amazes me, like, the confidence they actually have, in Scar Patterson right now, having thrown 3 picks on the game. But look at him. He's got 258 yards through the air and 3 picks, and they're still allowing him to throw in such a tight game. That's how much confidence Canton has right now.
Run to Logan Lee, picks up 6. Is Canton now looking at the clock, and a little bit of a clock management game here as we tick inside 5 minutes. Iggy in the chat says you better pay your middle linebacker his tacos. He's got a big game tonight. There are not 1, not 2, but 3 taco stands in one of the end zones of our stadium. Just go there and get your tacos, John.
Are they free?
For players, sure. You'd have to pay. Look at that pass. Wow. Just a dot to Dillabry. I'll give you a coupon, though.
I'd rather not eat tacos anyway.
10% off. Eat with this because you don't know what's good.
But Dillapre coming out with a huge catch right there, getting themselves in field goal territory right here, right in there. I'm gonna call it red zone because they're right nearly on top of the 20. But it's Florida has got to force a turnover right here. They cannot allow a field goal at all.
Nope. Any more points and this game's pretty much on ice, and they're gonna.
Oh, that guy got beat up.
Yeah, hard to get a turnover too. They're gonna keep it down on the ground. Pickup of 5, 4 minutes to go in this one, clock rolling. Your time is now to get your voice on the call. We're looking for passionate SFL participants to join our broadcast team for the continuation of SFLM Season 9 and beyond. Please visit simfl.net/broadcasting for more details on how you can get involved and be one of the biggest difference makers in the future of SFL action. Patterson looking, firing, end zone touchdown! Canton gets the touchdown, and man, barring disaster, Gerald, they're going back to the championship game.
Did you see the time that Scar Patterson had back there, even though they brought an extra man? And how do you let probably the largest man on the field and Talon Steele get open right there in the back of the end zone? It's hard to miss the guy, but you know what? The linebacker just allows him to go in there and actually get him a touchdown catch right here. And what did they do? Look, they don't care how many interceptions Scar Patterson throws. They know they have the defense to shut any team down, and they shut Florida down this evening. Scar Patterson, he's got 2 touchdowns, but 3 picks. They're like, so what? We are who we are, and we want to win a little bit different. Seemed like they were just toying around for a little while. It's just unreal.
Well, that's what I was even saying earlier. Like, this Canton defense, it almost just looks like a cat just playing with a toy. The way that, Cochran would hand the ball off to Beletsky, and they would just bounce Beletsky around between a few guys before they'd finally tackle him. So, okay, we'll give it to Chris Komisak. They bounce him around a few times and then tackle him. They'll throw it to Ron Haynes. He might get the catch, and then they just whale him down to the ground.
So it's almost like either a cat or a big cat, whatever you want to say it, playing with his food.
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like all game long. And look, you've only had 11 carries from the running back core of the Canton Classics. Everything else has been Scar Patterson.
Yeah. Which is beyond impressive. I mean, we've talked about Canton a few times throughout the season on the Wilson Show. Cochran tries to get that pass out, and that one's incomplete. And, I know one of the storylines that we've always talked about with Canton is, this offense lives and dies on the legs of Logan Lee and Robert Johnson. And if you are forcing Canton to try to win with Scar Patterson, then that's the key to victory, right? That's what we've talked about. Well, okay, what's the storyline now? Because not only, listen, Florida didn't force Canton to win with Scar Patterson. Canton chose to win tonight on the arm of Scar Patterson. And that's the game right there, is Ron Cochran gets picked off by DJ Kilgannon. Like, this defense, they've been fire all season long. They've been fire tonight. But Scar Patterson showing that, hey, I don't even need Logan Lee and Robert Johnson to win. I got this. And he did. He's proved it. They're going to win.
Yeah, look, and that's the thing right there, right? And what I was questioning too, look, he did throw 3 picks here, right? Now, when you have a stout defense like Canton has, you can make those mistakes or even allow those mistakes to happen. But guess what? They had confidence in Scar Patterson. Hey, look, we can win with him too, even with his mistakes. And they've done it.
Patterson still finding open targets. That time the ball rocked free of Steele's arms, stopping the clock.
And thinking about it, right? So far right now, pending, another score right here by Canton or any other teams, but so far in the 2 games this season they played in week 9 and here, Canton has outscored Florida 37-3.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, talking about having a team's number, especially a team like Florida. I mean, back-to-back championships, and now they're not even going to get to go. And lots of talk still continuing about tacos and chalupas and taquitos. Taquitos are all right. But yeah, I don't even think they're paying attention to the game anymore, Gerald. I think that they know Canton's going to win. There's still 3 minutes to go, so they've moved on to food. Either that, or hear me out, they're just very excited for the game in Mexico City coming up in about 1 hour and 15 minutes from now.
I think they're more excited about that. I think you're going to have a crowded supersonic jet after this game is over. Everybody's going to be crowding on there because once they know you're going to have tacos, chalupa, and every other type of Mexican dish you imagine on the flight just to get you prepared.
Oh yeah. That big game coming up next. Still have some minor league action before we hit the championship game next Sunday night on Friday. The SFLM Season 9 continues on Friday, November 15th with 4 more exciting matchups, headlined by the league's top dog, Nashville, entering into enemy territory to face rising San Jose at 9:15 Eastern Time. Other matchups include Bossier City and Albuquerque, along with Chicago, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia, Lexington. See the stars of tomorrow on Friday, November 15th, starting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on SFL YouTube. Canton putting another 3 points on the board, getting themselves to 20, and now an insurmountable lead for Florida. Congratulations to the Canton Classics. They'll be heading to the Season 23 SFL Championship game.
And I actually think I had mentioned it as well, right, that I really do think that this Canton team it's not going to show up record-wise, right, but I do think this Canton team here is better than the Canton team from last season and what they're able to do. They're a little bit more mature, right? They learned from the mistakes. Yeah, they lost a couple of games this season, but they have an ability of, when somebody exploits something on them, they have this uncanny ability to fix it, and you never see that again. So once it's almost like maybe like a computer program, right? They find, there's a problem there, we'll fix it, and that's never going to happen again. That they run like a machine that way, right? You find a problem, and all of a sudden they correct it in quick fashion, and you never ever get that. Never gets exploded on them again, and that's the way they've actually played. So it's so they've been just so dominant.
Cochran throwing, that one's picked. That's the game. King Jamal getting the interception, and there's nothing more to do here but just run out the clock now, Gerald.
Yeah, and that was an overthrow by Cochran right there, trying to hit Art Vandelay. And guess what? And you know what they had in the championship game last season, Florida, right, to get themselves up? What they did, they gave a look to Canton that not only Canton had never seen from a defensive perspective, but no team had seen from a defense, perspective. Surprising them with, putting a wide receiver back there to be able to run the ball quite often in the championship game, and nobody, saw that ever happen. And Canton, look, to their credit, hey, look, they didn't lose by a whole lot, right? It was a still tough game, but it was something that they just had to deal with, and they didn't really know how to properly deal with it for the entire game, and and they ended up losing. But guess what? They corrected these issues, and they figured out a way to kind of, fix that exploit in their defense. And even if it's just a mindset thing, look at this.
Ryan Davidson with another pick. Yeah,
it doesn't matter,
right? Listen, they threw 4 interceptions and they're still getting the win.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you have 4 turnovers, right?
Yep.
4 turnovers, and it doesn't even matter. And this is on a large scale.
Yeah,
you only give up 3 points, and those 3 points were not from those turnovers. Believe it or not, you turned the ball over 4 times, and not one of them turns into any points for you.
And you still managed to put up 20. Listen, the defense is why. You just saw the turnovers there. Florida with 3 turnovers themselves. This defense, the old saying, defense wins championships. Well, the defense held the Florida Storm to only 3 points. 20 points put up by Canton isn't necessarily enough to win a game in a lot of cases. It's not that many points, but when you have a defense that is only allowing 3, then 20, that's plenty. That's way more than you need. You're winning by 3 scores.
And they've done it in the most impressive type fashion on one of the biggest stages thus far in these playoffs against the 2-time defending champs, the 5-time champion, right? Florida Storm team, entirely great coaching. One of the dynasties, right? In sim football.
For now, they'll remain tied with the Baltimore Vultures with 5 championships apiece. Neither one of those teams will have the opportunity to win the championship this time around. It will be the Canton Classics going to the championship.
Mike Hall.
Yeah, Mike Hall just doing Mike Hall things there as Florida burns their last and final timeout. They'll go for it here, and this will more than likely be the ball game. So who will Canton be facing in the championship? Will it be number 2 Mexico City, or will it be number 3 Minnesota? Both of those teams, they can give Canton a run for their money. Either one of them, it should be a great championship game, regardless of which team gets in. We'll find out for sure. That game kicks off an hour and 10 minutes from now.
Yeah, it's just a extremely dominant performance by Canton here. I mean, you would think, hey, look, you have these, the number 1 seed against the number 4 seed. Each team's got double-digit, wins on this on this season here, and that we'd have like a lot better showing. Seeing how, these 2 teams actually played in the playoffs last season, and we had a little bit of a different outcome, right? Canton ended up beating Florida last season during the regular season. Then Florida turned around and beat them in a championship game on the biggest stage of what you see. So guess what? Canton again beats Florida during the regular season here in a shutout. And Canton says, hey, not only are we going to prove to you that we can beat you like that, we're going to score as many points and have you score only 3 points. While we also turned the ball over 4 times to you.
Crazy.
And it made no difference whatsoever on how we acted and how we played.
Second down and 11. They'll need 2 more kneel downs due to the time left on the clock. Since the progression era in the Simulation Football League, beginning in Season 10, neither Mexico City, Minnesota, nor Canton have won a championship game. Obviously, Minnesota and Canton both entering the league a couple seasons ago. A few seasons ago, I should say. Mexico City last appearing in and winning a championship back in Season 10. Minnesota, they didn't play Canton this season. They last played them back in Season 19. Minnesota won that game 23-10. Meanwhile, Mexico City has played Canton a couple of times since Season 19. They played them in Season 20, beat them 37-10. And then in Season 23, Mexico City lost, but that one was only by 3 points. Either way, you got a great championship game coming up. Canton Classics get the win in this one, 20-3 over the Florida Storm. Florida season ends. Canton's continues. They'll play 1 week from tonight in the championship game. Gerald, it'll be against Minnesota or Mexico City. But before we get to that game, your final thoughts on this one.
It was just complete domination by Canton, right? And in all aspects of what they, are able to do in their defense, right? Is by far one of the most dominant defense we've seen. Even it's like I said, in some cases, I would say they're better than what they were last season. Even though allowed a lot fewer points per game, but well, Florida just didn't have any answer offensively for what Canton was throwing at them. I felt like, hey, they put themselves in a bad situation in terms of, their game plan, right? Expecting Canton to blitz a bunch, which they did, right? But what Florida wasn't expecting in their swing passes and screen passes, didn't expect Canton to cover it as well as they did. And that was a huge part of Florida's game plan, and it just did not work out very well for them. But congratulations to Canton for them getting back to their second consecutive championship game, and now who knows, depending on who they play, they might be looking at their first championship.
Coming up next at 9 p.m., Minnesota at Mexico City with Ethan Muslin and Alex West on the call to decide who will face Canton in the championship game. And then, of course, the championship itself, November 17th, 8:15 p.m. And, of course, pregame festivities will kick off before that. This has been a presentation of the Simulation Football League on YouTube. Final score, Canton gets the win, 20-3. For Gerald Smith, Ron Haynes, Justin Reside, Cameron Irvine, and Matt Wilson, who's always with me in spirit, I'm Mike Dagg saying thank you for joining us. Be kind to one